Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over the work in progress balance changes for July. These are not finalized yet, but this is what Clash Royale is hoping to do for this next month. So the first card we have is the Ice Spirit. The Ice Spirit is getting a nerf. The nerf is going to be losing freeze duration by minus 8%. So it's going to be freezing from 1.2 seconds down to 1.1. This is definitely necessary, which is why this is the second month in a row Ice Spirit is getting a nerf. It's not another damage nerf, but you will see a little bit of changes in interaction when it comes to the freeze. It's not by much, so I think this is still going to be a strong card, but Supercell needed to make a change, or else the Ice Spirit would have still been dominating the meta. I wouldn't be surprised if next month it gets even another nerf, but we'll see how many interactions this changes. This is going to be both for the normal Ice Spirit and the Evolution Ice Spirit. So it's actually going to affect a lot of decks. I think it's still going to be used a lot though, a lot in cycle decks, a lot by top 200 players. So I don't think you're going to be seeing it come out of many decks, but you definitely will start to see a change when it comes to its defensive capabilities. The next card we have is the Log. The Log is also getting a nerf. The log is losing its damage by 9%, which means it's going to go from dealing 289 damage down to 263 damage. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think this is going to change much. I think most people use log for the knockback ability, and I think that log is still going to be used a lot, especially because bait is so heavy in the meta right now. Um, I think that this is actually going to make bait even stronger just because you're killing one of the main counters that counters that deck. So I don't think this is great for the meta. I think Supercell is really pushing a bait heavy meta, and it's just going to be even stronger now. It still should be able to kill most small troops. It's still going to be able to kill goblins, spear goblins, obviously skeleton army. But if this starts going out of a lot of decks, then you're just going to see bait start to be used more. Going with that, we have the evolved Goblin Barrel. This is also getting a nerf. I'm assuming because bait has been so heavily used in this meta. The decoy goblins are actually losing their damage by 26%. So they're going to be doing, they used to do 120 hit points of damage, and now they're going to be doing 89. So this is probably going to change a lot when it comes to bait. I think that there are many scenarios where you might actually be able to leave them by themselves for a little bit, even if they get a hit or two, just because you don't have to worry about their damage as much. So this might help some of the meta, but with the evolved skeleton barrel coming, I think a lot of people are still going to be playing bait. So this is definitely a needed nerf. I don't think they're helping themselves by creating a new Evo and nerfing the log. But the Evo Goblin Barrel definitely needed a nerf. It was a little too strong. So we'll see how this changes the meta a little bit next season. Next we have the Evolved Witch. The Evolved Witch is getting yet another nerf. This is the third month in a row where they're nerfing this card. And this time it's losing its heal per skeleton a little bit more. Every skeleton is now going to heal it by 56 HP instead of 63. And I think I'm on the borderline of agreeing with this just because the witch is very strong. However, I don't want this to kill the card. I don't think it's going to kill the card. I think this is necessary just because there's so many scenarios where the witch stays alive on the tiniest bit of HP and it could get healed up all the way back to max. So opponents are having to overcommit a bunch on it. I'm a little biased because I'm a graveyard player, so I don't want this to be nerfed, but I definitely do think that this is necessary. Um, and without the witch, you might start to see a little bit of changes with a lot less lightning being used. Maybe there's other cards that could defend it a little better now, which might even start to shift the meta a little bit. I mean, but we'll see. I think this is necessary, and I think that you'll just start to see this card a lot less just because it's not going to be healed as much. So you're going to be able to deal with it easier. The next card we have is the first buff. We're going to be getting a buff to the Giant Skeleton. The Giant Skeleton is going to be doing 4% more damage. So it's going to go from 266 damage to 276. I mean, I'm indifferent to this one. I don't think that Giant Skeleton's been used that much, which is great. Maybe they want this card to get a little more usage. However, I don't think this is the buff that it needs. Nobody is really using Giant Skeleton for his damage. They're using it for lane control, the bomb that it gets after dying. So it's very good defensively. Maybe they're trying to make this card a little more versatile so that it could be used more on offense. But I don't think this damage is going to have you seeing it break through much more. Um, it could be used a little bit more in Hog EQ now instead of Mighty Miner. But I really don't think this is going to make much of a difference. I think it's good. Get it a little more use. But I mean, I don't think it's going to change anything. The next card we have is the Ice Golem. The Ice Golem is getting a huge buff with a 12% HP increase. It's going from 1198 HP all the way up to 1344. I think this is huge for the Ice Golem. The Ice Golem is already a pretty good tank as it is at 2 elixir, and this might see it get a lot more usage. I think the only problem is it's not being used a lot in the meta, so I just don't know where you could place it. It's going to go very well in the minor balloon deck with the Evo Musketeer. That's going to help it a lot. You might see 2.6 start to shoot up a little bit. Besides that, I don't really see a place where you might use this over another tank in some other decks. But this is really cool. I think once you start to see more usage, you might start to see some cheaper cycle decks with counter push potential because you have this as a tank. So we'll see how this changes everything. I think this is very cool. I think Ice Golem is a great card, very skillful since you could kite things across the map. Um, yeah, not much to say. I think this is great for it. The last buff we have is the Mini P.E.K.K.A. The Mini P.E.K.K.A is getting a 5% HP increase from 1,361 hit points to 1,433. I think this is good for the Mini P.E.K.K.A. I don't really think it had an HP problem to begin with, but this just might make it a little tankier, stronger, help it clear out tanks more because it could just stay alive a little longer. So I think this is overall good. It's already a swarm heavy meta, so I don't think you're going to see much of a difference as in adding this to more decks. I don't think that you could just throw this in any deck and have it work. So it's a pretty niche card. I like it though. I'd like to see what people could come up with. You'll be able to counter tanks a little more effectively because you keep it alive. So yeah, I think this is good for the Mini P.E.K.K.A. Another buff. Let's see where it takes it. And here we have our first rework. It's going to be the Rascals. So the Rascals haven't been used a lot, and I really think that nobody would use this over some other cards like normal archers or maybe a knight, especially because it's 5 elixir. It's a little more on the expensive side. And you're just not getting enough out of it. So I think this rework might really help it get used a little more. And it's actually huge for the card. The Rascal Boy is getting a 53% increase in damage. It's going from 133 damage to 204 damage, which is huge. So I think that is great. The girl damage is going down by 6% though. So it's going down from 133 to 125 damage. But I don't really think that this is going to hurt the card too much. I think the Rascal girls already died to things like log. So it's not like you couldn't counter them before. I think they're going to get countered the same way. But having the boy do more damage and be able to clear out a little more in front of it might actually make this card a little useful. I'm not quite sure what decks this would go in, really, besides bait. Another bait card, but oh well. Um, I mean, but we'll see. I think this card could be very useful, and there might actually be a reason to use this over something like a knight. I mean, I don't think I would personally, but we'll see. It's a little more versatile now. So I think this is great for the card. The next rework we have is the Boss Bandit. The Boss Bandit is finally getting what I feel like is a nerf. So the ability count is going up from 1 to 2. So you could use this ability twice now instead of just once. But the recharge trigger, like halfway through its HP, is going away. So you're no longer going to see that bar, and it's not automatically going to reset after the Boss Bandit has 50 HP, but it's going to have a 5-second cooldown. So instead of a 0-second cooldown and an automatic recharge at 50%, you could just use it twice and you have to wait 5 seconds each time. I think this will help just because the ability was kind of spammed and overused. It was doing a lot of damage. I don't think this is going to kill the card. I think it's still going to be very strong. Still does a lot of damage, and I don't think the HP nerf did what was necessary to it. So I think this is still going to be very strong. In reality, you really only need the one ability to be able to do what you want. It's definitely a nerf though, because that second ability sometimes applied a little bit more pressure and caused you to overcommit on it. So I like this one. I like this rework. I like this what I would call nerf. Um, and the boss bandit might start to be used a little less. And the last card we have on this balance change list is the monk. The monk is getting a rework. So its HP is going up 3% from 2150 HP to 2214. It was already a pretty tanky card, so now it's getting even more health, make it a little tankier. However, the damage reduction is going down 13%. So instead of doing 80% damage when it's using its ability, troops are going to do 70% damage to it. So it's not going to be this mega tank like it once was before. Um, I'm not really sure why Supercell's targeting the monk. I think, yeah, it was a little strong, but I don't think it's been used a ton this past month. So, I mean, we'll see. Maybe just more champions being used, people might start to stray away from monk a little bit, especially because it's going to be a little bit easier to kill when it's in its ability form, even though it has a little bit more HP. In reality, that's like 1 or 2 hits to it. I don't really think it's going to make much of a difference. Overall, I think this is a nerf to the monk. Um, yeah, so I think that's all that we have for this balance changes. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, whether you think some cards were overly nerfed, overly buffed, and help me on my journey to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So click the subscribe button down below, like and comment, and hope you guys enjoy this next month of Clash Royale.